Otto Wallin is fighting Dominic Breazeale on Saturday. What do you think about that fight? That's also got Adrian Broner on the card, Robert Easter Jr. and all these guys. But what do you think about Otto Wallin versus Breazeale?
Yeah, Otto Wallin, like we all know, he came first into the scene by doing this great fight against Tyson Fury because he did have a great performance. But he's in a situation where the Fury fans will say that Fury wasn't in shape, which is not true. I think he was in shape, but this kind of cut will trouble anyone.
Mm.
We all know that Tyson Fury, everything comes to his motivation. There are some fights where he's really motivated and some other fights where he wasn't. And against Otto Wallin, he had to fight in a style which is not his. So he obviously looked bad. But Otto Wallin, for me, is the kind of guy who gained a lot of confidence, I think, from that fight.
Mm-hmm.
And we could see that in his next fight, he fought this white guy, American, who lost to Ariola, but that was almost a robbery.
Kaufman.
Kaufman. It's not Andy Kaufman. What is it?
Travis.
Yeah, Andy Kaufman was a German heavyweight back in the days who made the distance with Vitaly Klitschko. I remember that. So Travis Kaufman, Otto Wallin was boxing his head off and he even stopped him. Something I think almost nobody did before. Ariola didn't. Amir Mansour didn't. So I think Otto Wallin gained a lot of confidence. Otto Wallin, for me, will never be a world champion, but he's competent enough to beat Dominic Breazeale.
Didn't Luis Ortiz stop Kaufman? Did he fight Kaufman? I swear Ortiz fought him.
Yeah, he fought Kaufman.
I think he stopped him in like the last round or something.
He beat him up to death, and he stopped him in the last round.
Yeah.
Beat him up to death. So there was someone who stopped him before, but Otto Wallin did even better. I think he was in a situation where Kaufman hurt his hand, and while he was complaining, Otto Wallin started to punch him. So the ref stopped the fight. It was something like that.
How many rounds did it go?
I think 6.
Okay.
I'm not sure 100%, but I think it went 6. But Kaufman was not doing anything special. He was getting built up.
Yeah, Otto Wallin looks, like you say, he looks competent. From the Tyson Fury fight, he has a decent amount of boxing ability. He's not a genius or anything in there, but he knows what he's doing. And that's the thing, he's confident. Because when he went in there against Tyson Fury, he didn't look confused. You know when Tom Schwartz fought Tyson Fury, he just looked totally confused from the beginning.
Yeah.
Whereas Otto Wallin knew what he wanted to do, and he wasn't confused by Tyson Fury's showboating and all that kind of stuff. He wasn't impressed by any of that. So, yeah, he's competent, and I think he should beat Dominic Breazeale as well. I reckon on points. But I don't know. Dominic Breazeale has been down a lot of times. Obviously, he was down against Amir Mansour. He was down against Izu Agono, knocked out by Wilder, down against Joshua. So he's been down a lot of times. But if you don't keep him down, he'll keep getting back up. And if he can drag you into a fight, he's got decent power there. But I just think he's going to be too slow to beat Otto Wallin.
Did he have a fight after Wilder?
Let me check. I don't think so,
I don't think so. So we don't know where he is because that was a tremendous knockout, man.
Yeah, that was a great KO. Wilder was the last fight, and that was nearly 2 years ago now. It'll be 2 years in May.
He's going to be ring rust to death. Plus, Breazeale is a slow starter, usually. So that, add to that, doesn't smell good. Maybe he's going to get stopped.
Yeah, maybe. One of the things I will say, though, is when it comes to ring rust, it affects boxers more than it affects fighters like Breazeale. Because ring rust really affects your timing. It affects your, reflexes and stuff like that. Whereas Breazeale doesn't really rely on reflexes and timing. Breazeale is a very basic guy who just trudges forward and leans his weight on you and clubs away with big shots. So yes. I don't think that will really be as affected by time out the ring as much as, somebody who relies on timing and reflexes. But the punch resistance is what I'm more concerned about, because when you've been out the ring a long time, it's like Sugar Ray Leonard. He had a lot of periods in his career where he was out the ring for a long time. And he said when he came back, jabs were hurting him. He had to get used to taking the punches again after he'd been out the ring for a couple years. So we'll see with Dominic Breazeale. He hasn't been hit with little gloves on since Deontay Wilder knocked him out. So I don't know about his punch resistance.
So for Breazeale, you're right. he probably will not feel the same as if, for example, I think Tyson Fury felt the ring rust a lot, and he will feel it.
Yeah.
With Breazeale, yeah, he will come forward and try his thing, but I think Otto Wallin will box his head off. Plus that left hand is good, so no, yeah, we don't know about Breazeale.
The only thing about Otto Wallin is that he's not that big. He's tall. He's like 6'5", but his weight is not that high. So
Yes.
I think if Dominic Breazeale can manage to get close to him and draw him into a fight, Breazeale will definitely be the stronger guy. Like, definitely. Dominic Breazeale is a physically strong man.
He is, yeah.
I mean, if you saw that fight against Israel Gono, you know, the Polish-Nigerian guy, Breazeale was getting battered in that fight. He was getting battered, but he just managed to, I guess the guy was inexperienced. You know, he didn't know how to pace himself. I think he was nervous. So, you know, he kind of tired out, and then Breazeale was able to get close to him. And once Breazeale got close to him, yeah, he started putting some hands on him and wore him down and knocked him out.
Ugono had a similar defeat a couple of years ago. He fought another Polish guy, and the same, he got dropped. Did you see that fight?
I don't think so, you know.
There was controversy because I remember he fought another Polish guy.
So this must have been after the Breazeale fight, right?
Yeah. He got hurt, he took a knee, and when he took a knee, the other Polish guy continued to punch him. And the ref was like, oh, it's okay, continue. And he got beat like that.
Okay, I'm looking at his record now, yeah. Rozansky?
Yeah, probably.
Rozansky, yeah, knockout in 4. Okay, no, I never saw that fight.
Because with Breazeale, it was the same. He was winning easy. He reminds me of RB Hyde, Ugono for some. Like, even pressing blow would hurt him bad. But that was one of Breazeale's greatest performance.
Yeah, that was a great fight.
That was
a great heavyweight slugfest.
But is Breazeale the same guy? I mean, he has been since then. I mean, we don't know that knockout against Wilder. We don't know how the amount of damage. So we need to see. But for me, Otto Wallin will win easy and probably on point.
Yeah, I think so.